Hello, everybody. It's Brian here in Toronto, and I have some recent finds to run through for you today. Hopefully, this won't take too long. I'm going to include some albums I found at record stores, as usual. A few things I picked up at the downtown Toronto record show, and then, surprisingly, some stuff from a thrift store, which is really surprising because I never find anything at thrift stores. So, let's move on then. Let's start. So the first album I wanted to show you, the first record is Wall of Eyes from The Smile. This came out in January of this year, I believe, 2024. This, of course, is the Tom York, Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead project with Tom Skinner. And this is their second release. Here's the inside. By the way, here is the hype sticker. The Smile limited edition blue vinyl. I find that interesting because sometimes they give you an adjective like, electric blue or something. It's just blue vinyl. I've listened to this a couple times and I do enjoy it. At first I wasn't sure. The first two songs are very mellow, but I guess that makes sense. And then, I think it's really good. Let me show you the vinyl just so you can see it. Some artwork, some lyrics, and blue. It's blue vinyl. It's not powder blue or sky blue. It's just blue. I do kind of wish they would make another Radiohead album. But I do like this, and I like the last Smile record. So this will have to do. Nice packaging. Very good. I think it's good. So that's that. Second record is one I've seen, or this band I've seen mentioned before. I have this feeling that Mike Vinyl Spiral and maybe PC31, the other Mike Vinyl Policeman, mentioned it. I'm not 100% sure because my brain doesn't work as well as it used to, but I think those two have mentioned this band from Ireland called Just Mustard. So I left the shrink on, so it's a bit reflective-y. So it's Just Mustard. This is a limited edition on transparent blue vinyl. This is their second record called Heart Under from 2022, and they're an Irish band, as I may have mentioned. Just show you what's in here. Now, I should say this record and the next one I bought at a store that was having a sale. So there's Just Mustard. I'm not sure I love the name of this band, but I guess it's a minor complaint. So I often forget what I pay, but I think it was a $10 off deal on this record, so I think it was probably, I might have been under $20, which is amazing. I'm not sure this is transparent blue. It's not even translucent if you ask. Maybe verging on translucent. It's not transparent, but it's blue. And I noted what the AllMusic said about this band because I thought it was well said. It said, an Irish quintet diffuses elements of post-rock, shoegaze, and dream pop, creating an innovative and brooding sound that flits between discordance and ethereality. That's actually not a bad statement. So they're a bit like, there's a bit of trip-hop, experimental, a bit of post-punk, a bit of noise in there. I actually think it's really good. I've listened to this a couple times. I actually can see myself listening to this a few more times. And I will, if I see the first record, I will grab it. I don't know what's happening with them now. This is already 2 years old, but we'll see. In the same store, they had this record on sale as well. It was also $10 off, and I think that pushed it down to, I don't know, maybe it was under $20 as well. It's Garbage. No Gods, No Monsters, No Masters from 2021. And this is their 7th record, I believe. Here we go. There's the band. I don't really have any other records from Garbage in my collection. No vinyl anyway. So it's a bit surprising. And this one is on neon green vinyl. I'll show you that and we'll determine if it is neon green. The only thing I know about this, I've listened to this a couple times. It's got a lot of energy. It sounds good. People have criticized the lyrics for some reason as being kind of silly, and I haven't really gotten to the point where I've absorbed the lyrics, so I can't tell you if that's true or not. It's an interesting statement, though. And here is, you tell me if this is neon green. I don't know. Good one to have. Good price on that. Sounds good. But of course, many of these I've only listened to once or twice, so it'll take some time to tell you what I really think, and maybe I never will tell you what I really think. All right. Then I went to I'm not sure what order. I probably went to the show first, the Downtown Toronto Record Show. I mentioned this in passing in a different video, and I'll just recap here. First of all, the venue was terrible. Now, I mentioned in the previous video that you had the opportunity of paying an early entrance fee, and this year it was $20. Last time they had this event, it was $30, and my friend convinced me on both times to pay the money, which I'm not sure it was a good idea. But last year, it did allow you to pretty much wander the entire place for a full 2 hours with very few people. Maybe that's the threshold. $20 is too easy. $30 makes people think. So we were able to look without any congestion at everything in the place, and we left before the doors even opened for the people who wanted to pay the $5 or whatever it was. This year, it was $20, and I was expecting the same sort of experience of being able to walk freely, but no, it seemed like everyone paid the $20. As soon as I walked in, the place was congested. It was difficult to get up to tables, and I mentioned that before. It was really congested, and the lighting was awful. People had cell phones out to shine lights on their records to see what sort of condition they were in. I did hear vendors complaining about the lighting situation, so it was awful, to be honest, and it was congested. I think there were fewer vendors because the place was so small. One of the major vendors that everyone liked, I think they're called the Record Guys. They have many bins of records or crates of records, and they're often overstuffed. And that seemed to be the place that really attracted people. And they were unorganized, so you'd find jazz mixed in with rock music, I guess. So I found that frustrating. And as I was working through the line, you kind of get pushed along. And one guy behind me actually said, "Do you mind if I switch places with you?" because he couldn't get in. And I was like, well, if I switch places with you, that means I will never get back in here again unless I go back to the end and work myself. So I kind of said like I'll never get back in. And they would take records from you to put aside for you in a stack. And when you made it through all the records, you say, "That's my stack. Can I have them?" I did that. I put some records aside, but then I got kind of forced out of the line. So I never got back because every time I went over there, it was just this insane crush of people. So I hated the venue. And I spent some time at other vendors in preference to the one that, everyone was crushing around. And I went to this guy who had a really interesting collection, and I bought this Ministry single called I Wanted to Tell Her. And he had this packaged really nicely. He has this sleeve. This is a UK 12-inch single from 1983. And then in the back, he has the record in a poly-lined cardboard sleeve, which is pretty cool. This is from the band's first record, with Sympathy, I Wanted to Tell Her, Tongue-Tied Mix, and A Walk in the Park. This is a UK pressing. This is from the era of Ministry that Al Jorgensen kind of has disowned. But I heard recently he might be playing music from that record. But I buy any Ministry singles I can find, if I can find them, 12-inch singles, including this one, Work for Love, again, packaged the same way. And this has Work for Love and then something called For Love. I also have already own the US pressing of the Work for Love 12-inch single, which has a different track listing. But I've never seen this cover before because it's from the UK. I've never seen this before. I'm used to the North American version of that. But that was fun to get. He told me those two were from his personal collection, so maybe he's downsizing or doesn't listen to them. Speaking of downsizing, I am on the verge of downsizing because I am running out of space. And I do have a number of things that I've had for decades that I don't listen to or don't even like. So that will be a plan for the future. Okay, so continuing with the show, I bought a record that honestly I don't understand why I didn't already own it. It's a record I know very well. It was this band's big North American breakthrough in 1988. From Sydney, Australia, The Church. This is Starfish, their fifth record. Again, why I didn't own this is it's inexplainable. Inexplicable. I don't know why I didn't have this. I have other Church records. So this, of course, has Under the Milky Way, that song that kind of blew up for them here. Fantastic song. I really like that. And this got a lot of airplay in the circles I was in, I guess, the radio station I listened to at the time. There's a Starfish And this is just on, I think it's IRS, is it? No, Arista, just this Arista label that you've all seen. So I was happy to have that, because I should have had it, I should have bought this in 1988, but I did not. And I think the reason is that I had a lot of cassette copies. Speaking of, taping music, which will come up in a minute. Getting ahead of myself. I had a tape of this and other records. My friends and I would trade records back and forth. So I think because I had this on a cassette tape, I didn't actually own the record. So that's funny. This is another one. Same situation. I had a cassette copy of this. I don't know why I didn't own it. It's the only early record from this band that I am missing, and that is the Buzzcocks Singles Going Steady from 1979. Of course, I have, the other ones, the first three, at least, studio recordings. This was the first one that was released in North America, though, before the other ones. And starts off with that amazing song that I'm sure you know. And again, I'm pretty sure that because I had a cassette copy of this, I never owned it. But why there's a big gaping hole in my collection. And this is on IRS. Singles Going Steady by the Buzzcocks. Fantastic. That's a great collection of songs. And then another one I've never owned. I didn't, that wasn't something I had been looking for really, but I decided to get this from the Dead Kennedys, In God We Trust. This is also a Canadian pressing from 1981. This is listed as an EP. By the way, I love the cover here, this crucifixion on a American dollar bill. And I guess this is some sort of steel thing. I never looked it up to see what it was, but right, this is the sort of record where they take a crack at criticizing organized religion, neo-Nazis. They mention Reagan for the first time, I guess, here. As you can tell by, if you know the song titles, you'll know what I'm talking about. And this of course has the song that has the refrain California Uber Alles. Yeah, really cool. And speaking of home music, home taping killing music, the cassette copy of this was sold with all of the songs on the A side. The B side was left blank, and I think the explanation was something like, home taping is killing music, so we've given you a blank side so you can help out. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, which I think is actually pretty funny. And show you the labels here. So that's cool to have. Not something you would maybe listen to on a Sunday morning or something like that, but kind of fun. Here we go with I guess this is a EP of some kind. I don't know if it's a 12-inch single. No, I think it's an EP. I don't know. From the Durudi column or the Durudi column. I'd never known which is the right way to pronounce that. With Debbie Diamond. Be careful looking up Debbie Diamond because there's apparently an adult film actress with the name Debbie Diamond. But Debbie Diamond, spelled the traditional way, is the lead. If it's Debbie, it's the same person. She was in a band called the Januaries. This is from 1987, by the way. So if you look for Debbie Diamond this way, you get somebody else. I don't know why they spell it this way. Maybe you should change the spelling. Anyway, there are 3 tracks on here. The City of Our Lady, a very nice instrumental track featuring Vinnie Riley's beautiful guitar work. The last track is Catos con Guantes. I don't speak that language. And it also features Vinnie Riley's fantastic guitar work. Both really great tracks. And the middle track is White Rabbit, the Jefferson Airplane song, which is sung with Debbie Diamond. She sings the vocals on that. And I think it actually is really good. I wasn't sure what to think. First time I heard that, which I don't know when that was, but I think it's really, really excellent. This is Factory Records. So, this is side B first, I guess. And then here we go. So I think this actually, also the sound on this record is quite good. It just sounds great. So I love this band. I try to find, if I see something that's reasonably priced and I don't have it, I will grab it. So that's all for the record show. I'd say overall it was okay, except for the crowding and the lighting situation. But it was smaller, so I didn't see a ton of things that I was interested in. There were some other things that I was almost interested in, but the price was wrong or the condition was wrong, so I left those behind. Now, with thrift stores, um, so there are two reasonably close to me, and I've been, I guess 10 years ago, I would always find things there. Always. I'd go and I'd come back with records, always. But now, over the last few years, nothing. And one of the frustrating things is that the one that's closest to me sells records, I think, for $1.99, and then CDs are $2.99, or the other way around. I can't remember. And usually it's just nonsense and garbage and things that are scratched up and horrible things. The other one now individually prices records. If there's no price, it's $1.99. But often they have a sticker on the inside of the jacket which indicates the price. And sometimes they're $5.99 or more, $9.99. I've seen things for $13.99. And honestly, they aren't generally worth that price. I don't know why they do that, but anyway, so I was there recently and I found three things for a really good price. They were, I think, under $5. And I would say I wasn't sure. They're almost blind buys in a way, but I brought them home and have listened to them, and I'm going to tell you about them. So the first is from this guy called Kevin Hearn. And this is a record called Common Sense, I guess. He did the photography for this as well. Now, Kevin Hearn is from Grimsby, Ontario, which you may not have heard of before. It's a small town in Ontario. We pass it if you drive from Toronto to like Niagara Falls, you pass it. I guess he's most notable for being a part of three bands in Canada. The first is the Look People. He was a member from 1988 to 1993. They were fantastic. I've mentioned them before on this channel. He replaced Andy Cregan in the Bare Naked Ladies when Andy Cregan left, and has been with them for 12 of their records. And he also participated in some recordings from the Rheostatics. I don't know if he was officially a member, but there are 5 different Rheostatic records where he appears on. And he has had some solo work as well. Now, some years ago, he contracted, or he was diagnosed with some form of blood cancer, and out of seemingly nowhere, he got a phone call from Lou Reed wishing him well in his recovery. And he has recovered. He's apparently in remission. Lives in downtown Toronto. And later he joined Lou Reed's touring band. Starting in 2007, for some years, he was a member of Lou Reed's touring band. So if you look at the Lollapalooza footage from Chicago, I can't remember the year, he's in the band. They do a fantastic version of Senselessly Cruel, which is just wonderful. But I hadn't heard any of his solo music before. Oh, let me show you what it looks like on the inside. So here is an insert. I guess it goes this way, and then we have some credits here, and produced by Kevin Hearn, Chris Gartner, who's a well-known Toronto producer, and then Hugh Marsh, who's a violinist who performed with Bruce Cockburn and recorded with Bruce Cockburn, also Peter Murphy. Hugh Marsh also appeared on the last Rheostatics record. And then we have some other guests here. So what can I say? I mean, it's also as mixed by Michael Philip Wojiboda, who was also for a time member of the Rheostatics. Let me show you the record. Teal, maybe? Teal colored vinyl. Every time I find a record in a thrift shop, even if a good one, I'm always concerned that there'll be a lot of surface noise because people don't really care for their records. Like, I have found other newish records and they always sound dreadful, but this one actually is pretty good. Now, he's a classically trained pianist, and so not surprisingly, the first couple of tracks are very, I'm going to say, not quite ambient, but very mellow piano, atmospheric, moody tracks. Tomogamy, the first one, which references a national park in Canada. You can, there's a bit of bend on the jacket and a bit of discoloration here. And Ghost Birds are very in that manner. Silent Collapse starts a similar way, but in partway through vocals come in, which is kind of interesting. Common Sense, mostly piano and some quiet instrumentation. The Chemical Valley, though, stands out because it features vocals by Martin Tielli, also of the Rheostatics. So when I started listening to this, I thought, it's going to be really atmospheric, and I like that kind of music. I wasn't expecting it, but I think it holds together. There are some songs that kind of break away from that, Chemical Valley being the most notable one. Nemophilists on side 2 is pretty awesome. We have a quiet one, which, again, quieter thing. River of Money's good. Alternative Energy has a bit of an electronic-y sound to it. It ends with a track called Grimsby, which is brief. I think it's under a minute, and it obviously references his hometown. So all in all, though, I'd say this was a pretty good buy. it cost me very little money. A little bit of damage to the jacket here. The record is nice and clean. I think it's really good. Maybe for those moments when you want something that isn't quite that doesn't really rock out. This is good, and I think it's great. So I'm giving that a thumbs up. The second one, similar price, was something I was unsure whether to take or not. I took a gamble on it because it's from a guy called Jimmy Rankin. If you're Canadian, you're going to know who this is just by his surname, because he was part of the Rankin family, that band of siblings from down east, as we say. This is his seventh record from 2018, and it was signed and inscribed to someone, so not me. They gave it up. They took it to a thrift shop. Let me pull out the record here. There's the guy with his selective color, black and white photograph with color added back in. So Rankin family, that is a kind of traditional Gaelic, down east kind of sound with traditional instrumentation. This is more of a folk rock thing, I would say. Pull out the record here. Moving East. And it's produced by, I'm going to forget who it's produced by, because I didn't write it down. In previous records, he's done duets with Alison Krauss and Jim Cuddy of Blue Rodeo. So I question this because it's not really the kind of music I normally listen to, but this is actually more in the, if I can say, rock than I thought it would be. If you look at the instruments, though, you're going to see there's Highland bagpipes, we've got mandolin, banjo, fiddle. Ashley McIsaac is on this record, who you may know. Some pipes, but also drums, percussion, acoustic guitars, tambourines, vocals. So it's produced by Joel Plaskett. Sorry, that's the name I was trying to remember. A famous Canadian musician from down east as well. So yeah, if you like Cape Breton traditional roots music with a bit of rock thrown in, this might be the thing. I'm going to listen to it a few more times and decide what I think of it. But it's actually not bad. It's better than I thought it would be. Now, in the last thing I bought was, again, one I was like, I'm not sure, but I decided to go with it since I got the other two. This is Leroy Stagger, Strange Path. He's noted as being an alternative country singer born in British Columbia, currently living in Lethbridge, Alberta. And this is his 11th record from 2018. I think he's done 3 more after that. The last 2 records, by the way, were on True North Records, which is the label that features Bruce Cockburn. Look at this big Canada thing here. It says, we acknowledge the financial support of the Government of Canada through the Department of Canadian Heritage, Canadian Music Fund. This one has Factor Canada. What other country gives you grants to make music? We acknowledge the financial support of Factor and Canada's private radio broadcasters. Pretty interesting. Let me pull this out. He has had a lot of notoriety. He's opened for people like the Pixies, Modest Mouse, Los Lobos, Tegan and Sara, the aforementioned Joel Plaskett, George Thorogood. His music has been used in shows like Grey's Anatomy, Sons of Anarchy, Heartland, which is a Canadian show you may not know, and Degrassi. So here's side A, side B. And he has mentioned that he was influenced by Gord Downie when he made this record. And that kind of shows, if you listen to it, it kind of shows that there's a bit more of a rocking sound here. Now, the track that really maybe convinced me to buy this record, I was in the store kind of looking at it, and I was reading, Mother, Deeper Well, Breaking News, Strange Attractor, da-da-da. And then there's this track called Leonard Cohen is Dead. Leonard Cohen is dead. Well, it's is dead is in brackets. Leonard Cohen is dead. It's true that he is. One of my favorite singers. Oh, here's the insert, by the way. Let me find that song, Leonard Cohen is Dead, if I can. Where is it? Leonard Cohen is dead. I can't read this writing. The Buddhists didn't believe... What? I can't read this. I can't read his writing. And Leonard Cohen is dead. It talks about will he come back as a sparrow. Anyway, hard writing to read, but that kind of made me it kind of convinced me to buy this because of the Leonard Cohen's death song. Pretty interesting. I guess maybe he's a fan. All right. Coughing. There we have it. Maybe a longer video than I thought it would be, but that is a rundown of recent finds. So let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one.